Whoops, this wasn't on the agenda. Magical Girl Friendship Squad is a miniseries that came out in 2020 that a lot of people hated on principle. Magical Girl fans didn't like it because they thought it was mocking the genre, and the rest of the internet didn't like it because, women and diversity and millennial humor. I've already written and recorded a script for this video, but I've gone back and redone everything because I felt like I was sort of talking the show up a bit too much. Not because I think it's bad, but because it's just okay. We'll talk about that later on. Please do note that this is a show for adults, and as such, this video will discuss more mature topics a bit more casually. This is also a shorter video because it's a shorter series, so, let's get to it. Magical Girl Friendship Squad was created by Kelsey Stefanades. She came up with the idea in 2015 as a very loose genre parody of Sailor Moon, a show Stefanades grew up with. A short pitch series was made from the concept, resulting in Magical Girl Friendship Squad Origins. This was shown around a few different studios for a few years, until in 2019 it was picked up by Sci-Fi for their new adult animation TV block, TZGZ. TZGZ is its own rabbit hole, quite frankly. It was the network's attempt at having their own adult animation section of their programming, and it seems to have mostly fallen through. I'm sure there are other people who discuss the whole thing and dissect it, but my main point of interest here is specifically Friendship Squad. Once picked up by Sci-Fi, it was refined and given slightly longer episodes, reborn as the series we see today. Alex and Daisy are two young women who are unexpectedly approached by a magical red panda named Nut, who is actually an interdimensional goddess and creator of their universe. She bestows her powers onto Alex and Daisy, who must fight against the forces of evil to save their world. That is the plot of the show, but it isn't the focus of the series. Because this isn't an action-adventure story, it's a character workplace comedy. The magical stuff is there as set dressing to create wacky situations for the characters to navigate. Alex and Daisy are a fun pair. They aren't complete opposites, but they're certainly at different ends of the young adult spectrum. Alex has a background in computer programming and is generally a hard-working kind of gal. Meanwhile, Daisy is a bit more of a loose cannon. Also, she came from a weird cult family, but that's whatever. There's a lot of fun in their dynamic, and I can see a lot of people relating to it. And outside of relatability, they're just fun to watch. Whenever magical shenanigans aren't happening, the girls are just trying to navigate living in a shitty apartment, dealing with adult responsibilities like trying to get a job, paying rent, that kind of thing. And honestly, now that I am also a 20-something-year-old woman living in a shitty apartment with my roommate bestie, I find the show a lot funnier. We just need a magical companion, and this is basically my biography. Hey. Give us magic powers.
Huh?
Speaking of magical companions, there's also Nut. She often acts as the voice of reason and is the main driver of the plot, as Alex and Daisy are just kind of content to live their lives. I do like this idea of an ultra-powerful deity who can't actually enter the worlds they create without being downgraded to a weaker form. She sort of tries to act maternal towards the pair, but for the most part is just another roommate. There are some other characters as well, primarily Corvin, who acts as the main antagonistic force for the series. And let me say, his voice actor, Mateo Lane, seems like such a fun and lovely person. I watched an interview where he talks about the show and how he came up for the voice for the character, and he's just a delight to listen to. Corvin is a bit of a gay stereotype, but not in a derogatory way. This is very clearly written by somebody who is in the community and is just poking a little fun in a lighthearted way. In, I think, the last two episodes, we also meet Virus, who is the big baddie of the show, and she's just awesome. I love her voice, and I love this almost parody of what a girl boss is. She's just cool. A major point of contention when this series premiered was the animation, and I gotta say, that argument is silly. Because the animation is awesome. Everything about this series visually is incredible. The animation, art style, and designs are all well done, and the limited animation works really well for both the comedy and action segments. This feels like an internet cartoon that was given a budget, and I really like that vibe. Also, the transformation sequence goes hard, and I love it.
New outfits this time?
Oh, yeah.
It's fluid, fun, and jumps directly into the action. Almost everything that I love about transformation sequences. As I stated before, a lot of people were disappointed with this series, and this time for a variety of reasons. Of course, there was the anti-woke crowd, which is always stupid, but the more interesting discussion comes from how the magical girl community reacted to the series. I asked my audience what they thought of this show, and I got some good responses, and I sort of want to go through the general complaints that people had and kind of give my 2 cents. Whenever magical girls are involved, I am one of the biggest proponents of Sailor Moon isn't the only magical girl show. And I will admit I can be a bit aggressive with my opinions. But I don't really have a leg to stand on here because this is based on the creator's personal experience with the genre. This isn't meant to be a parody of all magical girl tropes. It is, in fact, based completely on Sailor Moon because that's what Stefanades grew up with. And I can't exactly argue with that. And really, this isn't even a direct parody of Sailor Moon. It's much looser than that. In an interview, Stefanades said she wanted to make a show that was similar to how Rick and Morty is a parody of Back to the Future. The parody is only the baseline concept, and from there the story becomes its own thing. We have 2 women who encounter a magical talking animal and get magic powers. After that, there is no connection to Sailor Moon, and frankly most of the outrage came from the main series when it was actually the origin series that was more directly Sailor Moon inspired. You want to know why the outfits look like they're spoofing Kill la Kill in the first episode? Literally because the creator got into Kill la Kill around the time the show was picked up by Sci-Fi, and that's the kind of self-indulgent fun that I love. The show never intended to be a full parody or commentary on the magical girl genre, and sitting down and watching the series, I feel like that's really easy to notice. Just because something has magical girl in the title doesn't mean it's gonna be a super good magical girl story, and I feel like we should have learned that by now. Another thing that I can't really argue against is the idea that the humor is cringe and dated, because humor is completely subjective and everyone has their own likes and dislikes. Personally, I didn't completely hate the humor in this show. Like I said before, a lot of the jokes are more relatable now that I am in the situation of the characters, but a lot of it also went over my head. Basically, anytime they mention a celebrity, I had no clue who they were talking about because I am not into celebrity culture, and I really wasn't 5 years ago. And watching this series 5 years after its release, none of the jokes felt outdated at all, and honestly, they aged pretty well. A little too well, sometimes. The show is extremely fast-paced, with like several jokes per minute. Some are sexual in nature, and others are just kind of poking fun at things people do. Whether or not you personally find that humor enjoyable is up to you. A lot of people feel that the show is looking down on the magical girl genre, or making fun of it, or ashamed to be a part of it, or anything in that vein. But personally, I didn't feel that at all. Yes, this show has a bit of an attitude and it's a little cynical, but that isn't directed at the concept of magical girls. If anything, the whole magical girl thing is just a gimmick and a way for the original creator to have some fun referencing the things they enjoy. You have to keep in mind that this series aired on TV in America. It wasn't made specifically for Magical Girl fans, it was made for the general public. And I think the real problem people have with this show is, simply put, anime is put on a pedestal, and using those anime inspirations for something as low as adult animation is seen as an insult. I say this because TZGZ also aired several other cartoons on that block, one of which even premiered the same night as Friendship Squad, and they're all in the same vein of comedy as Friendship Squad. A lot of swearing, a lot of millennial humor jokes. Yet, even at the time these shows came out, Friendship Squad was the only one really being discussed. Every other show that aired alongside it got to fade away into obscurity almost immediately. I mean, yeah, some people complained about the other shows too, but certainly not to the degree that Friendship Squad got. I promise this is related, but Panty and Stocking has a new season and it's really great. If I didn't know any better, I would never know there was almost a 10-year gap between the first series and this one, because the writing and comedy style are so on point. But I started thinking, like, what's the difference between Magical Girl Friendship Squad and Panty and Stocking? They're both shows with female main leads and a lot of topical humor. They say fuck every few seconds. They talk about sex and capitalism and all that stuff. So why was Friendship Squad treated so badly when there was already a precedent for this? Literally, it's just this meme. I don't know any other way to say it. I'm not saying that if you liked Panty and Stocking but not Friendship Squad, you're a poser or anything. That's totally fine, but like, the general vibes are the same. And also, there's the fact that Friendship Squad was created by a woman and is aimed at a female audience with a lot of female-centric humor. Because dick humor can exist anywhere, in all aspects of society, regardless of how forced or funny it actually is, but the second anyone references a vagina, obscenity. This is also a bit of an unrelated note, but on clips of this show, specifically the ones with the weed monster, I saw comments that were like, oh, because weed is bad, of course, and I'm like, buddy, that's literally not what's happening here. One of the main character's weapons is a bong. Clearly the show does not have a problem with weed. It's just a Sailor Moon-esque monster of the week. Like, it's funny, come on, man! I think this show got a lot of undeserved hate when it came out, and still kind of does. Once again, a lot of it was cringe-ass, anti-woke garbage, but there was, in fact, a large group of Magical Girl fans that didn't like it either, and as I said before, I think that was all just kind of a misunderstanding. I said earlier that my previous script was talking the show up a bit too much, and I didn't really feel like that was the direction I wanted to go in. Not because I think the show is bad, but because it's just okay. It isn't the peak of storytelling or a staple of the maho shoujo genre, but it was literally never trying to be. And I can't be mad that the thing I watched wasn't a thing it never tried to be. It's an adult animated comedy created by somebody who grew up with Sailor Moon and wanted to have fun with the concept. That's all it is, and that's okay. Personally, I enjoyed Friendship Squad. The characters and their designs are cool, the voice acting is good, and the jokes are funny and make me go, haha, I know what that's like. I won't be writing a deep analysis on the themes of the show, but if you're someone whose age is 18 to 30 and you're watching my channel, you may like this series. Is this an amazing, phenomenal show? No. But it's fun. It's funny. Cool animation, voice acting, character designs, art. I'm glad it was made, because I can feel the passion behind it. If you're able to get into it, then I recommend it. Ah, right, and also obligatory join my Patreon statement. I'll see y'all next time.